preparing to live stream the meeting. That's what I'm seeing right now. You okay, Renae?
Yes, I think we're live already. I see the tag.
Oh, are we? Oh, yay. Okay. That's awesome. Okay. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Anybody that is watching today, I'm so glad you're here. I apologize if you caught me chit-chatting right before, but I'm glad you guys are here. Today, I am sitting down with Renae Green, who is an international board certified lactation counselor, an IBCLC. I'm also sitting down with Briana Jackson, who is the brand new program manager for the Healthy Start Center for Urban Breastfeeding, the CUB. And we're joining together today because we want to highlight something that's super important. September, some of you may not know, is Infant Mortality Awareness Month. And so this year, Healthy Start is partnering with local influencers such as myself to highlight the work that we do there. And we are working really, really hard to combat infant mortality through the awesome programming at Healthy Start. And so we took the time to do this virtual cafe series to introduce everyone to some of these programs and also introduce the people that are leading these programs. And so that's why I'm sitting down today with Renae and Briana. And of course, because I'm here, we get to make it a special Titty Tuesday edition, okay? Y'all know how much I love talking about the benefits of breastfeeding. So it was a no-brainer to come and sit today and talk about this. I love it. So I'm gonna start with Renae. I would love for you to share how you came to just to love sharing the benefits of breastfeeding and teaching and advocating, all that good juicy stuff.
So welcome everybody. Happy Titty Tuesday. It was really very simple for me as I was navigating motherhood and stumbling throughout my breastfeeding experience to find support where people look like me, can understand my background, can understand me as a Black woman. I decided that there was a void here that I needed to fill. You know, I was told a few times by people like either I'm here to support other women, you're doing great, which is kind of like a negative, but also a compliment at the same time. Or I was also told to just give my baby a bottle when I couldn't seem to figure out what breastfeeding was like. And as someone who was new to breastfeeding, didn't have anyone in my family that breastfed before, it was really hard for me to navigate around that. And, you know, around commentary from people just asking me, why do you want to do this? How long do you intend to do this? Isn't that a sexual thing that you're doing with your child? So I just felt like, you know, if someone decided to make this decision, myself, I can help them to navigate that. So my passion kind of grew from there. I was introduced to Ngozi Tibbs, as you all know, with the Pittsburgh Black Breastfeeding Circle. And she kind of told me about different pathways that I can take to get into this work. And I obtained my CLC. I went to school for maternal and child health, human lactation. And throughout my schooling process, was able to complete an internship at West Penn Hospital with Booby Bob. And I was then able to sit for my IBCLC boards, and I am an IBCLC now.
Woo, woo. We need you, girl. I'm so glad to have you. You already know how I feel about you, honey. I just have learned so much from you over the last 2 years, and I just feel honored to have been connected to you. Thank you so much for everything that you do, girl. Let's scoot to Briana, who is our brand new program manager for the Healthy Start Center for Urban Breastfeeding. Whoop, whoop. Love the cup. So Briana, could you tell us, how did you get to, how has your journey been to becoming a lactation professional?
Well, hello, everyone. Briana again. The way I got into this work was actually, I've always been in the social service agencies. So I've always been helping mothers, families, children, things like that. Always been into like early intervention, things like that. I actually became a mom myself this year in May. So my little one just turned 4 months on Sunday. And I was, thank you. And I was really interested in breastfeeding. I was seen as kind of the hippie of my family. Everybody was like, oh, I can't believe you're breastfeeding. What is this? And no one else could tell me about, what to do, what steps to take. So I was just always keeping myself informed, reading up on everything. I utilized CLCs and things like that. And I just became really inspired by the work. A lot of my friends said that I would be a natural, nurturer and things like that. So they said that I would be good for this work, and I got into it. And so now here I am, and I'm, glad to share my experience with others and make sure other moms have a very positive experience.
Yes, that's awesome. That's awesome. So excited to have you. The Cub has already done so many amazing things and made amazing strides just in the short few years that it's been around. And we have Renae to thank for that. We have Renae to thank for creating and launching the Cub. And we have seen, Renae, we've seen some good numbers, haven't we? Haven't we seen some good numbers with our enrollees and their continuation of breastfeeding? Can you tell us just a little bit more about that?
Sure. So I always like to say, anytime you create something new, Pittsburgh is one of those cities where it's almost like a big ship turning, where it takes a while to kind of kick off and, gain the notoriety that of what it is. When we first started, we were able to reach a little over 100 participants within the program. And as we went into our second year, which would have been the winter of 2019 going into 2020, we saw our numbers pretty much like triple within that one season of how many people were interested in a program, reaching out to people. And as you know, in Pittsburgh, the winter times are not a time of year that people do things. We hibernate.
Right. Very true.
Right. So, but then shortly after that, the COVID-19 pandemic hit, and we definitely had to restructure a lot of how we engage and reach families. And I think the biggest thing with that is, for us, it wasn't, how do we navigate this virtual realm? Because our program started virtual. Our program was an in-home and virtual lactation support. So it was really easy for us to switch gears into being virtually only. However, we did see a slight decrease in engagement. And I mean, that was expected. I think everyone pretty much, we're still in a pandemic. We're kind of trying to figure out how to navigate these things. But even with that, we were still able to increase our virtual capacity by being online, promoting information online. I think we created some really cute memes at a point in time to really reach people within our population and our demographic that we served. So it has been, always we've been able to at least reach 100 or more participants within a year, which is really great. So yes, the numbers have been increasing over time, even with our small delays with pandemic.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And, we talk about racial disparities, and this pandemic has absolutely exposed just how those disparities truly impact the health of Black people. And we have seen so many organizations and programs that have had to kind of step in and step up and kind of create these lanes for families that are at a greater risk of kind of not being connected to resources now, more now than ever. So it's amazing that that the Center for Urban Breastfeeding and that Healthy Start has really allowed families to remain connected to those resources, and in a lot of instances, initiate connection to those resources even easier virtually. And I know that I've been able to kind of refer a lot of families and not have to miss a beat, even though we are, we're still very much in the middle of a ponderosa. A lot of people don't want to, admit that, but we are. So I'm so glad that Healthy Start is making sure that families are still taken care of. So Brianna, I'm going to ask you, I would like to kind of break down some of these programs that we have. That we are offering for breastfeeding families. So we have, first, I would love for you to just give us a little bit of a description about the Cub. Then we'll get into the Latch program, and then Breastfeeding 101, if you don't mind. So can you just give us a little bit of info about what the Cub offers to breastfeeding Black families?
So like we're saying, I'm a little new, super new, like it's like just a week. So if you don't mind, I'm going to divert that to Renae. She can answer more of those questions.
Sure.
And
Absolutely.
I'll just follow up on anything.
Absolutely.
No problem. So the Cub is a lactation support program that provides education, engagement, advocacy, and support to Black families in Allegheny County. Our Latch program is pretty much our lactation assessment, counseling, home support program. And what we do there is we provide 24/7 access to families who are Black and in Allegheny County at no cost to them. So, the assumption is that as long as you're breastfeeding, you can have access to a lactation counselor. We typically support families up into the first year of the child's birth. So what that looks like is if, when they come home from the hospital, just navigating some of those early challenges, we can be there to support you with that. As you return to work, navigating what that looks like, pumping, introducing a bottle to baby. We can help you with that. As you're introducing food and other complementary foods, we can help you navigate those options, as well as weaning your baby from breastfeeding. And sometimes even as challenges arise, as baby grows, like some people talk about like teething babies and, how to navigate them biting and things like that, we can also support in that way. As far as our education goes, we have two classes. We offer the Breastfeeding 101, Breastfeeding Basics, which is a prenatal breastfeeding class. A lot of people go into breastfeeding with the idea that they want to try it, but have no knowledge of it when it comes down to, I just gave birth, what do I do next with this? I will tell you, babies are very, they trick you when they first come out. They'll do real good. And then the next, you're like, what's going on? And it's like, babies are having like they're Finding Dory moments. They're forgetful. We have to like coach them and guide them. So having some theory and some expectation of what's to come with breastfeeding can be very helpful as you navigate your breastfeeding journey. So our goal with that class was to really just promote the theory of breastfeeding, expectations, just so that when you're in the midst of it and trying seems difficult, you have a little bit of knowledge around like navigating breastfeeding with those early challenges. And then also you've already built a rapport with some of the people that are connected with this program. So, building that relationship can also help to navigate or diffuse some of the hesitation around calling people for help. As far as our second class, which we are soon to launch here, is our Pump It Up class. And that class is really focused on returning to work and navigating those challenges around returning to work.
That is something that I love about the breastfeeding community and environment that that has been created at Healthy Start. It's not kind of a one and done type of thing. You're not taking one class and then you're kind of on your own. This is continuous support throughout your breastfeeding journey. And that is so important because you're going to, there are going to be different challenges. There are going to be changes in experience as you grow in your breastfeeding journey, as baby learns and grows. There are going to be changes. There are going to be ups and downs. And it's so awesome to have that support at every stage. And that feeling of community is so important, that feeling of support that you are able to reach out when you're not feeling sure about, your next steps, when there's a new change, when there's something, a new challenge that you may come against. It's so awesome to have that in every stage of your breastfeeding journey. I think a lot of kind of press and media has been surrounding Black breastfeeding in the last few weeks, especially with the celebration, because it is a celebration of Black Breastfeeding Week that we did August 25th through the 31st of this year. We, of course, know why Black Breastfeeding Week is so very important. We understand just because we are in this field that there are very clear disparities, racial disparities in breastfeeding, but there may be some that just don't understand, that just maybe have only heard of Black Breastfeeding Week for the first time this past month, and maybe are wondering, you know, what's the big deal? Why do we need to have a Black Breastfeeding Week? And what would you say to someone that may have that question?
I'm gonna pass that off to Bri.
I was gonna say, Brianna, you can hop on in.
I'm not sure what to say. Can you kind of like repeat it again? Just the question that you have.
Sure. We have, you know, recently seen a lot of press and media covering and surrounding Black breastfeeding. You know, it's been a little politicized as of late as well. Especially as we were celebrating Black Breastfeeding Week this past August. So I wanted to know, what would you say to someone that would come to you and say, hey, what's the big deal? Why do we have to have a separate Black Breastfeeding Week? Why can't we just celebrate breastfeeding in general? Let's, you know, what would you say?
I just feel like, just for many different reasons, I feel like we as Black women kind of get turned away from breastfeeding. Like I said, with my experience in my family, I was very shocked that a lot of the elders in my family were just like, go straight to bottle, go straight to formula. I just think that it's such a natural thing and such a great thing to do. A lot of our rates are low. I don't know if people realize like how low that the rate is for Black breastfeeding. So we just want to make sure that we like nurture that, make sure that we push that further. And then also, I just think that we just need a time to be celebrated in general. I mean, you know, I feel like a lot of times we as Black women are not, you know, celebrated, supported, and things like that. And so I think that the fact that, you know, breastfeeding and things like that is good for us. I think it's good to support us and kind of like champion that. So I think that's great.
I'll agree. I just want to kind of piggyback.
Absolutely.
Brianna said, you know, with us, it's so ingrained and natural. It has become very natural for us to breastfeed, well, to bottle feed our children, that, you know, the culture around it is you have a baby, you give them a bottle. And to me, you know, just taking a step back when we think about like why that is, you know, breastfeeding was how we initially fed our children before we were forced into not doing so. Right.
Mm-hmm,
and so with the legitimization of formula, with the idea of, you know, it being very convenient for feeding your baby, with the transatlantic slave period where we were so disconnected from that process, I think like we're really navigating this, like going back to who we are. And for me, it's like when we think about why Black breastfeeding is so important, it's going back to what is true, what is normal, what is necessary. You know, when we think about the health of our babies, that's also important. We know breastfeeding promotes health in many different aspects. And so it's just like, we're just reshifting what that looks like for us, because we have had to do something that may not have been what our ancestors way back down the line would have chose to do. Right. So I think it's just it's so many things, it's so many factors. There's so many reasons why Black women have struggles. And one of the biggest culprits is lack of family support. Like how your family engages with you around what you do can impact you. If your grandmother and your mother is in your ear saying, why are you doing this? Or just give the baby a bottle. The bottle's too neat. The baby's too needy. Like you're spoiling your child. You're going to feel like, well, these are the women that I look up to. And this is something that they can't understand, instead of, finding a way to educate them. Sometimes it's really hard to stand your ground too. And so like when you have other people who are celebrating this journey with you, that you can like converse with and fellowship with around like the things that you have to go through to even feed your baby, not only from the lack of support, but the lack of family, providers not really advocating it for you, the historical ramifications of slavery, like all these different things. It's just, let's move forward with celebrating. Let's give someone a reason to party, a reason to be happy in their decision.
Right. I love that. And what we're celebrating is a return to what is ours, right? Because it was taken from us in so many different ways. And now that we are returning in our mindsets to, we're returning to a mindset of our body, our baby, our choice. And we're able to now, where we didn't have a choice, our ancestors did not have a choice, and were oftentimes forced to feed others and not able to feed their own children. We are now able to make the decision to nurture our children from our bodies, and we have a right to do so. And we also have a right to proper support, right? We have a right to proper education, and Healthy Start is providing these things, which is awesome. And that continuous support is what also helps to build your confidence in this decision that you've made, so that you are not feeling as attacked when people are coming with these negative thoughts, with these negative comments. You are able to combat those things with truth. You're able to combat those things. Sometimes you may not need to go into the whole, let me educate you. It may just be, listen, this is my body and my baby and my choice. And sometimes just building the confidence to say those words is enough to show yourself that you can do this and continue in this breastfeeding journey, and then anybody else watching as well. I wanted to shift into something that is super duper dear to me with Healthy Start. And I have to mention it, it is the CLC Scholarship. We have talked about the disparities in breastfeeding, but there are also large disparities in the lactation profession, where we are not seeing Black and Brown people represented. And that matters when you are a Black family looking for education, looking for support. You want to see somebody that looks like you. This was the reason for me starting things like Titty Tuesday, because when I was breastfeeding at 19, there wasn't a pamphlet around me that had a brown nipple on it. There was just, I couldn't find anybody that looked like me. I didn't have, although I had access to CLCs through programs like WIC that are still around, they didn't look like me. They didn't talk like me. They didn't have, families like mine. So it was really difficult to relate. And Healthy Start understands how important that representation is. As you mentioned, we're going into people's homes. We are becoming a part of their village.
Well,
and it's so important that we're able to connect. Right. Right. So it's super duper important that we are seeing people that look like us. And the CLC scholarship that Healthy Start offers, that I was a recipient of, I was able to complete my CLC training thanks to Healthy Start. And I'm super duper grateful. There would literally be no Titty Tuesday without Healthy Start. So y'all have to clap it up for them. But we definitely have, we don't want to just see those percentages and those disparities change in breastfeeding. We also want to see those disparities change in the lactation field. We want to see more CLCs. We want to see more IBCLCs. We want to see more peer support lactation specialists that are able to connect to Black moms and Black families. That is going to be so important in keeping people encouraged, keeping them dedicated, and really just helping them reach their breastfeeding goals, no matter what that might look like. So I'm super excited that Healthy Start has implemented this scholarship. And I would love to know just a little bit more about maybe how many we've impacted so far, how many CLCs have gone through the program, and maybe even just a little bit of info on how, if someone's watching today, if they are interested in applying, how can they do that?
Well, I'll take this one, Bree. So in the first year, we were able to scholarship, I believe, 3 CLC scholarships. All 3 of those people went on to sign in as Cub LCs with us. Healthy Start also supported my IBCLC certification as well. So I received a scholarship to pay for that from Healthy Start as well. So they were able to support in the first year 1 IBCLC and 3 CLCs. Since then, I believe there has been at least 3 more people that were able to go through the program. Or maybe it was 2. It was actually 2. So you were in the second year as well as someone else. And then I think right now they recently did a call for scholarships, and they did like a Google form, and they are working to finalize who would next receive the scholarship. And if I'm not mistaken, there may be 3 people who are who will be granted the scholarship. Ideally, what Healthy Start is trying to do is offer this scholarship yearly through various resources and fundings that have been supplied to them for this program. And in the words of Issa Rae, we rooting for everybody Black. So we're just really trying to make it, like you said, for us by us in a sense. We can relate to some of the things that people are experiencing. I know even when thinking about like going in home, like a lot of people don't want others to pass judgment on them or to assume things based on a multitude of things, and just that cultural difference can sometimes be a barrier in really navigating and relating to what they're going through, with breastfeeding. I, like most other people, I can really relate to the people that I'm serving that are Black, just because I understand what also they're going through, not only with their decision, but also with some of the pressure that they are experiencing, even if they don't have like a partner that's supportive. So like really breaking down some of those barriers, inviting other people in to really have that conversation and have a real conversation, and not where I'm talking above you or, using words and jargon that you don't understand. So I think, the scholarship opportunity, if you missed this last application, I'm pretty sure, connect with Healthy Start, follow the Cub, follow Healthy Start on Facebook, on Instagram, just so that you don't miss the next opportunity for, applying for that scholarship. Because, the wealth of information that you get from taking that training can be very helpful in navigating people who don't just have experiences that look like yours, because you may have had a great breastfeeding experience or not. And then how do you help those, that didn't have an experience that you can relate to as well?
Perfect. That's awesome. So I think what we can all agree on is that Healthy Start is dedicated to changing the narrative around breastfeeding, to educating Black families, and then also to educating Black lactation professionals as well. I am super grateful for my experience so far with Healthy Start. And I tell anybody who will listen, okay? I tell anybody who will listen as soon as I know, whether they are a client, friend, family, anything like that. If they are a Black family, I am absolutely sending them to Healthy Start, and I let them know of all of the programming that's available, not just for breastfeeding, but for Black families in general. And we are going to continue these cafe series all throughout September, so that we can let people know, let Black families know all of their options, all of the resources available at Healthy Start. So be sure, like Renae said, to follow Healthy Start on their social media platforms, on Facebook, on Instagram, so that you can stay informed on upcoming virtual cafes and other awesome series like the Virtual Cafe series. You can also follow me, and I share all their stuff, so you will know as well. what's going on. So we love y'all. Thank you so much, Renae. Thank you so much, Brianna, for joining me today. It was an awesome chat. And thank you, everybody who tuned in. And of course, we will have the live replay. Thanks so much, everybody. And we will talk to y'all again soon. Bye.
Bye.